Hi everyone, this is Meryl Geffner, the librarian that works with your classes. This is a video to help you cite your sources in MLA format. I want to do first a quick review as to why you need to cite your sources. Number one, you need to give credit to the original author. So whenever you take information from another source, whether you quote it directly, whether you paraphrase it, whether you summarize it, you always need to give credit to the original author or originator of the information. Another reason to cite is that it shows that you have read and understood what others think about your subject or topic, that you've taken information from another source and applied it to whatever point or focus of your essay or report or presentation is going to be. It helps you avoid plagiarism. So anytime you take information from another source, from an original source and you put in words that are not your own, you need to give credit to that person. Otherwise, you're claiming them as your own, and that is plagiarism. Finally, it helps your instructor or whoever is reading your report or watching your presentation locate the sources in case they want to delve a little bit deeper into your topic and see what kind of sources you are using. You will need to give credit to the author or the creator or the originator of the information in two different places. One will be at the end of your report or presentation, and this is called your Works Cited page. The other is within the body of your report or presentation, and this is called an in-text citation. We are going to start with looking at the Works Cited list. So I'm going to show you examples of two different types of sources, how to cite two different types of sources, both of which you likely will be using in a report or a paper or presentation, especially if you are in Management 275. So the first example is going to be from Merchant Intellect, which again, if you are in Management 275, you definitely will be using this as a resource to prepare your report. And let's go over to Merchant Intellect. You always want to look at the source before you cite it to make sure to get the information that you need. So I'm going to use the example of Starbucks and just jump over to their report pretty quick. So here's the full report for Starbucks. Let's say I am using the financial details and I'm taking information from here. So this is the page that I want to cite. So with Merchant Intellect, you have two different options of how to cite this source. In Merchant Intellect, and also for many articles that you may find particularly on the web, there will not always be an individual author. An MLA citation, generally the first element will always be the author of the piece that you're citing. If there is no author, you have two options, at least in Merchant. You can list Merchant as the author, or you can start the piece with the title of the piece of the report or the article itself that you are citing. And usually you only would cite Merchant if it is a specific company or perhaps an organization. Generally, you probably want to start with the title of the piece that you're citing, but either one is correct. But here's an example for both. So we have Merchant Intellect, Merchant Inc., because they are the name, that's the name of the company. They are the author. Next comes the title of the piece that you are citing, and this is always in quotes. So here it's the piece of the report in Merchant that we are going to be using. Next comes the name of the page where this piece is published, and that is Starbucks Corporation. That's this site right here. And that is always going to be in italics. Next comes the date. And if you look on Merchant, sometimes the date is a little hard to find, but there should be on the main original, the first page, there should be a last updated date, and that's very helpful, and that is the date you want to be using, and that goes after the name of the website or the page, the main page that we are using here, which is the Starbucks Corporation. Next comes the name of the database. Since this is a library database, you need to include this, and that is Merchant Intellect. That is also in italics. And then the very last element is going to be the URL that will go directly to this page, and so whoever's reading your report or seeing your presentation can access it quickly. The other way to cite this source is to, like I said, start with the title of the piece of the report that you're citing, and don't worry about the author, and then you would just list everything pretty much the same. You have the name of the main page that this is published on, the Starbucks Corporation, and then you have the publisher of the site itself, which is Merchant Inc., and then we have our date, and then because again we're in a library database, we name the database, and we end with our URL. So that's how you cite a report from Merchant Intellect. Also, if you use Business Insights, it would be the same thing. The other example I want to show you is if you want to cite an article from the web. And here's an article from the Seattle Times, and let's jump over to it really quick. Again, you want to look at all the pieces. And for this one, the first thing you want to do is see if there is an author, because if there's an author, that is always how you start it. And if you scroll down, you will see that Lauren Rosenblatt wrote this article. Pay attention to all these details up here. Pretty much will give you everything you need for your citation. So let's jump back here, and we have our author in MLA citation. The first author is always last name first, then the first name, and have their full name. Then we have the title of the article in quotes. We have the Seattle Times, which is where this article is published, and that is in italics. And then we have the date that the article was published. And again, that is, you can see that right up here. You probably want to use the most updated date if there's a difference. And with MLA, you always start date, month, year, just like that. And then because this up here we had something from our database, so we needed to list that. But down here, this is just directly from the web. So we don't have anything else, and we end with the URL. So that's the way you basically set up an article, and you probably will be using different articles from the web, and that should give you an idea of the basic setup. Okay? The second thing I want to show you is when you need to do an in-text citation, and I'm going to just use that article that we found in the Seattle Times. And so this is giving credit within the body of your report, your paper, or your presentation, and it's, as I said, it's called an in-text citation. This will document the source of your information, and it points your reader to the full citation at the end of the works cited list. A basic setup for an in-text citation is you start with just the author's last name and a page number. Now, a lot of the sources that you probably find may not have a page number, so you just don't worry about that. And there are a few ways to set up an in-text citation, and these are two different examples. So and it really depends how you present the quote or the information from the source within the body of your report or your presentation. So if you mention the author in your sentence, this is the first example, you don't need to add the in-text citation at the end, because this is basically telling your reader, here's the author, and your reader will know to look for R for Rosenblatt on the works cited list to get a full citation. So that's one example. The other is if you don't mention the author within the sentence, then you do need to put their name at the very end. And so you can see the difference in these two examples. So it really depends. Both are correct. It really depends how you word your sentences and how you take the quotes and present it within the body of your report or your essay or your presentation, whatever it is. So just a few things to remind you that you need to cite anytime you paraphrase, summarize, or quote information that is not your own. And again, it does not matter where you found the information. It can be from a library database, it can be from a book, it could be free on the web. It doesn't matter, you have to cite it. It also doesn't matter what type of a source it is. It can be something in print, it can be something that you read online, it could be an image, it could be an email conversation, it could be a video, whatever it is, you need to cite it. And lastly, a URL alone is not a citation. So always look back to fully cite, to create a correct MLA citation, you need a lot more information than just a URL. And if you need help, we have lots of ways to help you. You can always contact me directly. We do have an MLA citation guide that will give you lots of examples. There is a whole page set up here just for Merchant Intellect where you can follow along, and that should help you quite a bit. If you are on campus, come to the library, and a librarian can help you with your source, with your citation. You also can chat online with a librarian. So hope this is helpful. Just remember, get help with any time you need any citing, and have a great day.